Okay, if you're building your online brand or business, but you're constantly procrastinating, then you're similar to me. I'm Thomas, I'm a medical doctor, and I'm spending the next 3 months really trying to beat my procrastination and build my online brand. In this video, I'm going to share with you an important insight that I've realized when I was sitting down yesterday on day 2 of this challenge, opened my laptop and began to work full of excitement, energy, and but then very quickly I became overwhelmed and stressed, and then I noticed I had a lot of self-talk, and I became aware of this self-talk. It was saying I wasn't being productive, I wasn't focused, I should be doing better. And I realized that this was leading me to feel frustrated. This was leading me to feel like I wanted to give up, like I wanted to distract myself. I had a very uncomfortable feeling, and these expectations that I clearly wasn't meeting was causing me to feel this way, causing me to seek out distraction and essentially to stop working and to procrastinate. But I was noticing this, I was aware of this, and I decided, hang on a second, if I'm feeling this way with such high expectations and I'm not meeting that, what if I reduced my expectations massively to essentially zero? So if I had really low expectations, then would this cause me to encourage myself, to feel better about myself, to keep going? And that's what I essentially did. I said, okay, my expectations, instead of, having this criteria that I should be, being really productive, to be producing all of these things, I said, you know what? Why don't you just do nothing? Why don't you just sit here and my expectations are that as long as I'm not looking at my phone, as long as I'm not distracting myself, even if I just sit on this chair and do nothing and be bored, then that's all I need from myself. Then I'm achieving my goals. So I basically brought my expectation down massively to the point where I don't even have to be productive. And I was just focusing on not going backwards, just focusing on saying no to distractions, saying no to procrastination. And I was experimenting with that. And what I noticed was it allowed me to continue being in the work environment, continuing not being distracted, not procrastinating. Yes, I was bored. Yes, I wasn't doing much. But by just sitting there, it allowed me to process my thoughts. It allowed me to be happy with doing very little. It allowed me to eventually stop being overwhelmed, stop being stressed. And by having such low expectations, I was now encouraging myself to say, you know what? You can do very little and you can be happy with that. And once I did do small stuff, a little bit of work, this was like a massive bonus, I was very happy just sitting there being bored and not distracting myself. That's all I needed from myself. But eventually, I then started to be a bit more productive. Just because I was bored, just because I was in the working environment, I was eventually just drawn towards actually doing some work, actually being focused. So this was an important insight I had. Basically, and you can ask yourself this, are your high expectations the cause for your procrastination? Is that the root cause? Because if you're constantly not meeting your expectations, you're gonna wanna distract yourself because you're gonna feel pretty shitty about yourself. You're gonna wanna seek out distraction because it's a reminder that you're not living up to this perception you have of yourself. So instead of, clinging on to these high expectations, why don't you, I challenge you to reduce those expectations massively. Go into your work with zero expectations. Focus on not going backwards. Focus on not distracting yourself, and focus on just being in the work environment. And whatever productivity you produce, that's a bonus. And just see if that works for you. Okay, it's working for me, and I'm going to continue with very low expectations. If I go into next day, and I don't do it, if I'm not productive, if I'm not producing what I should be doing, that's okay. I'm going to be comfortable with that. I'm going to be just focusing on not going backwards. And I think that's the start. That's the foundations. If I really want to beat procrastination, I really need to focus on the root cause and it might be having too high expectations. Okay, so yeah, that's my daily insight today. Follow me for more insights as I beat procrastination, and yeah, share my insights in order to help and inspire people similar to me who are going through the same thing, who are building their personal brand or business and have these obstacle of getting started, procrastinating, of not prioritizing.